All right. How you doing this week?
Good. The recall training has been interesting. She's really strong.
Okay.
So she's like almost taking my arm going off.
Sure.
When I let her, go. Do her thing.
You can cut not literally cut it, but give her only half, like 15 feet. Because if she's got the full 30 feet, she just goes, right?
Yeah.
So in the beginning, because once she gets the concept of like recall and discipline, she shouldn't be as impulsive.
Okay.
Okay. Or you'll be far enough along that you don't always have to be holding it.
Okay.
In the beginning, we're holding it because of stuff like that. Because she's like, what, really? Can I?
Yeah.
Boom, right? And then she's got 30 feet of momentum.
Yeah.
That they kind of, some people also just wrap around their waist.
Okay.
So if you take the handle,
And just
fit the clip through, you can use your waist as a baseline as well. So this way, as long as you don't have any back issues, because, that's another thing.
My arm is so red.
Yeah.
I got vaccinated yesterday.
Okay.
So it's like this arm is sore.
And then that arm is sore? Sure. Okay, so you go try to do recall.
Yeah, she's like, I would say like when I let her kind of go off, she'll just kind of putz around, and then if she sees like a squirrel or a rabbit, she'll go. If she doesn't see either of those things, she'll come back to me like pretty easily.
Okay.
I really only like have to click her once.
Sure.
Maybe twice. With
Hey, Corey.
the rabbit or squirrel, it's like I turned it up to like 80 at one point.
Okay. And then what happened?
She finally like turned around and came back. It took like a few clicks on 80 even like to
Yep.
even get her.
Yep.
So I mean, I'd say we're working on it.
Okay. And recall in general just takes the longest.
Yeah.
But now you're learning, right? So this is why we do the long leash.
Yeah.
Because it allows you to mimic or get as close to realistic as possible.
Yeah.
So all that stuff is normal.
Okay.
And then also just like getting numbers down, just like with everything else, right?
Yeah.
You're like, wow, squirrels like 80, right?
Yeah.
She's not the first dog, she's not gonna be the last dog,
Right.
okay? So if it takes a few clicks on 80, on average, like how many would you say in general?
Probably like 3 or 4.
3 or 4?
Yeah.
So I would probably go up 90,
Okay.
95, because you want it to be as close to 1 as possible.
Okay.
Right? So if you're doing 3 to 4 clicks regularly on 80, yes, it's enough to bring her back, but there's still a delay.
Right.
Right? It's a 3 to 4 click delay. And what we're wanting is that recall is immediate, there is no delay. And the way we create that is by finding that number that immediately off that first tap is gonna disengage her, right?
Okay.
And it's not so much to punish her as it is to cut through the stimulation or the distraction of, wow, prey, and I get to chase it, right? And I get to like run around and bark at it and go up in the tree at it, right?
Yeah.
Is that now that drive is coming in. So, which in the beginning, like, in your experience, is like, oh crap, right? But it's good because you have something to harness.
Right.
So I like to, as much as possible, use my environment because that's realistic, right? It's what you're going to be technically using it. Hey, Corey, would you slap this on a charger, please? That you're going to be using it outside. And you have both the distraction and the reward, okay? So when you go up, don't think 80 straight to 95. 80, 85, 90. You're still doing incremental, but my assumption is she's probably going to be up there before you start to see that 1 to 2 tap response.
Right.
And then what you might start to see is a dip in her interest in the squirrels.
Okay.
Because now there's a firmer consequence.
Yeah.
So she's going to be less impulsive.
Right.
And I'm not trying to kill her drive towards squirrels.
Right.
I just want to harness it and let her know, like, hey, you can be crazy. Tip, tip, tip. You can be crazy for the squirrels. I could care less. But when I call you, you're going to need to return like that.
Right.
Okay. Anything else?
The other thing too is like she started like jumping a lot more. Not on people really, but like if she gets really excited, she'll just start
up and down.
Yeah.
Sure. Is this in the home or where is this at?
Yeah. So like this weekend I took her to my parents, and she, they've got a backyard there and whatever, so she just gets like really jazzed, and she can jump really high, like she can jump up to my head.
Sure.
But anyway, so she was just like doing a lot of like that type of jumping. not on anyone or near, but I didn't have the collar on her like in the house because we weren't really working on anything. So I was just wondering if there's like a way to try and, you know.
So what was it she jumping in response to?
Like going outside or going on a walk.
Okay, so let's say you're inside going into the yard.
Yeah.
You're seeing this.
Yeah.
Bonker.
Okay.
Yeah. So, because you don't have the collar on, right?
No.
So technically you could use the collar.
Okay.
With the collar you may not even see the jumping.
Yeah.
Right? So if that's the
I
case.
doubt she would, honestly, with the collar on, because the second I put that on her,
She
she's
shifts,
very,
yeah.
like,
So that's where the bonker comes into play.
Okay.
Because it's not tool related.
Yeah.
And well, not like collar related, right?
Sure.
So she's like, okay, I don't need to have something on my throat
Yeah.
in order for you to, or neck in order for me to be corrected.
Yeah.
So stuff like that, yeah. Because it's just don't do that.
Okay.
Right? And it's not going to make her adverse to going outside. It's not
Right,
going to make her,
right.
it's just going to teach her like, hey, it's like a kid, right?
Yeah.
So like if my mom was like, hey, you know, we're going to go to like the video game store.
Yeah.
I couldn't just run around shrieking my head off, right? She would have just smacked me like, no,
Yeah.
like you can be excited, but come on,
Yeah.
right? So just like with people, like if someone gives an over exaggerated response, like even we're like, that's not necessary.
Right.
But, you know, we wouldn't smack them.
Right.
You know, but with dogs, they would.
Yeah.
So like if she's jumping and another dog was like, yo, that energy is not
Yeah.
allowed, correction.
Yeah.
Okay? So yeah, you could just bonk that.
So, and then the other thing too, like in the home, and like with guests and stuff, a lot of times if she likes them, like she will kind of get in their face and like lick their face and stuff. Is there a good way to correct that
So
without
that-
the collar?
You could bonk, because bonk is for everything that you don't
Okay.
want, okay? The issue with the bonk there, and not that you can't,
Yeah.
is that you're trying to keep, like earlier, or not earlier, but a couple lessons ago when we did the touch and the jumping stuff,
Yeah.
and I said, I don't want to discourage her from like greeting me,
Right.
but I want to teach her manners,
Yeah.
right? Is you could technically bonker her there,
Okay.
but since it's a more confrontational,
Yeah.
firmer correction,
Right.
you might see her lose a little bit of interest in the beginning, okay? Just in the beginning.
Sure.
And you just let them continue to pet her and stuff. If she walks away, she walks away. Don't
Yeah.
have pursue her. You could, I mean, technically you could grab her, bring her back, and then have them pet her. So she's like, oh, okay, I can be here. I just can't lick your face,
Yeah.
right? E-collar is the easiest because it's just do it, and I tap you low level, and she'll
Yeah.
disengage, but she'll still stay within the scenario.
Right.
So there's no right or wrong there.
Okay.
Okay, so if you end up using the bonker, expect her to dip in interest.
Okay.
If she leaves the scene, technically, yes, you can bring her back in.
Yeah.
And then we don't say anything, we just literally grab her leash, bring her back up again,
Yeah.
and let them pet her. And she's just there going, is this okay? And it's like,
Yeah.
yes, as long as you don't lick them or get too much into the
Right,
face, you're
right.
fine.
Okay.
Or you can use the e-collar, lower level. I can't remember, I think we did like 12 maybe on the jumping.
20.
Was it 20?
Yeah.
Okay. I would go lower, I'd go about 12.
Okay.
Because jumping is a moving behavior. Licking is like, it's not as intense.
Right.
So 12, 15, 18, 21, oh,
Sure.
she stopped licking, continue to pet, but also not enough that it deters her from the context. Okay?
Yeah.
And then just repeat. But you have to, she has to continue to be petted to learn,
Right.
I can be pet, I can be next to you,
Yeah.
but I don't have to be here.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah, I'm a little worried because, like, with the e-collar, a lot of times when I put it on her, she will almost naturally just go to her place and hang out there for a while. So she's just not as, like, free with
As
me.
social.
Yeah.
When you put it, how often does she wear it? Is she only wearing it when you're going to train?
I'd say she wears it like every time we go out or whatever, but in the house, like sometimes we come back, I'll leave it on her for like 15 minutes or so she probably wears it in the house like 30 minutes a day maybe.
Okay. Does
Total,
she
like, you know, spread out.
does she do anything positive with it on, like play? I mean, now you have the recall stuff, right? It's like
I'm trying to think if I've ever seen her like. She doesn't just go to her place and sit there. Like she'll, you know, sit on the couch where she normally sits. She'll come lay by my feet where she normally would lay by my feet. You know, she'll eat and drink water. I don't know if I've ever seen her play.
Do you do any-
She doesn't play a lot. if that
in
makes-
general?
Yeah, she's like a pretty chill dog in the house. She'll kind of roll around and chew on her bones every once in a while, but it's not like an everyday thing.
Sure. So what you can do is just have her wear it more often,
Okay.
just to get her used to it. Like it's
Yeah.
another thing that she wears, right? So like when I have clients muzzle train their dogs,
Yeah.
I'll tell them now when you walk your dogs, muzzle them. You know, have them wear it throughout the day for an hour or so,
Sure.
because they need to just get exposed to it.
Okay.
Because a lot of times people will just muzzle the dog when they're going to the vet.
Right.
So then the dog goes, oh, we're going to, like, I know where we're
Right,
going
I
now,
know,
right?
yeah.
So then it creates a negative association.
Sure.
So I always suggest that anything the dog is averse to, that affects their personality, just expose them more to it.
Okay.
Put it on more. Ideally, like, let's say she like played fetch.
Yeah.
You could pop it on her and play fetch with her and do nothing with the collar.
Yeah.
And she just goes, oh, cool. Because if it's only, when we have this on, it's discipline, discipline, discipline.
Right.
That becomes their association.
Sure.
Typically, once we covered recall, because now you're going to be taking her out and like letting her be free.
Yeah.
Typically, that's when we start to see the dog kind of normalize.
Sure.
Because now they're going out and
Yeah.
they're being able to run around and be able to chase things.
Yeah.
And it's all with the collar on.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But because we just covered it last week, she's
Right,
going to
it's
be
like
a
her
bit
first
delayed.
experience with it.
Exactly. So I would just expose her more to it, have her wear it more. You don't even have to turn it on. It's she's just
Just
wearing
have
it.
it,
And then you know, if you're gonna do anything positive, like let her run around in the yard, she can have it on. Like, oh yeah, like when you took her to your parents' house, was it?
Yeah.
Like you could have it on, but you're not doing anything.
Yeah.
But so she gets the freedom of, I get to be out here and run around.
Right.
This thing is on and nothing is happening.
Okay.
But you could technically bonk her. So anything that you don't want her to do, you know, because telling her to sit doesn't fix the face licking,
Right.
right? Telling her to lay down isn't going to fix the face licking. It's just teaching her, like, yes, you can be pet and be next to someone,
Right.
but you don't put your face there.
Right.
Okay. Other questions?
That's it.
So we covered recall last week. How many times have you been able to work with her, would you say?
On recall?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Probably done it 3 times.
3 times?
Yeah.
So, what neighborhood are you in?
I live in like right on the border of Lincoln Park and Lakeview.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Because I think I remember you telling me about the
Yeah.
the
So actually,
lakefront.
like, because since I was at my parents' house this weekend, we worked on it twice this weekend because they have a big backyard.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just easier, and I felt a little bit more comfortable because she doesn't, you know, she is, like, I would say, is reactive to dogs.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then the other day we went over to kind of the area you were talking about, by Diversity, and that was fine.
Oh, in terms of like what, dogs and stuff?
Yeah. I just get nervous because she is, you know, she does react sometimes.
When do you see her react?
To other dogs. I mean, she still does it a lot on walks.
What's your number?
Like 65.
Okay.
So, I mean,
As a working number or when you see dogs?
when we see dogs.
Okay.
As a working number, I have her at like 45.
Okay. So let's say you're walking her.
Because I still have her like going to a sit when they come by. And some dogs she will just sit, but a lot she will, you know, she gets kind of like, looks like she's like leaning towards
Oh yeah,
them.
that's right. Because last week I think we talked about tapping
And
preemptively.
so like I've been doing that. It's definitely getting a little bit better.
Are you tapping at 45 or 65?
65.
I'd go to 80.
Okay.
Because, so I'm taking what you told me earlier.
Right.
If it took 80 to disengage her off of squirrels,
Yeah.
right, it's going to be different, obviously, behavior,
Sure.
but still that state of like intensity.
Yeah.
So I would go to preemptive tapping, but now you're at 80.
Okay.
Okay, so aversives are quick.
Yeah.
You touch a hot stove?
Yeah.
Would you do it again? You learned that lesson pretty quick,
Yeah.
right? So that's how aversives work.
Okay.
So if it's like, yeah, she's getting better, but it's a slow process, then the aversive isn't enough, okay?
Okay.
Now I do, and it's rare, get dogs 1 to 3 a year
Yeah.
that they'll take the aversive and they'll stop the behavior, but it doesn't resonate. So what
Okay.
that means is you can correct her, and then 1 minute later, another dog walks by, she blows up again.
Sure.
And you correct her and she stops. So it stops the behavior, but it doesn't sink in.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's super, super rare though. I think here, still being preemptive
Yeah.
and tapping her at 80, okay?
Okay.
And what I would also do is raise her obedience number to 65.
Okay.
So we're just raising the intensity of everything
Okay.
prematurely, right? So if you go to 65 and you get a yip, ignore it
Okay.
for the obedience stuff,
Okay.
So let's say you go out for a walk, you tap her at 65 for like forgetting to sit.
Sure.
She yips, but she sits down. And then you notice for the rest of the walk, she's non-reactive. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because you set the tone immediately,
Yeah.
right? We tend to wait for the behavior to happen before we feel validated to go to a higher intensity.
Yeah.
And that's just, human emotion.
Sure.
So I would raise her standard obedience number, 65.
Okay.
If you get a yip, just ignore it for now.
Okay.
And then you see a dog, preemptively go to 80.
Sure.
But then if you're like, man, ever since I started remoting her for obedience at 65, I'm not even seeing reactivity.
Sure.
Because that's how it's technically supposed to work.
Okay.
Is she's more concerned about what you're telling her
Yeah.
than she is about like
Other things.
exactly. So
Okay.
we just start playing with numbers.
Okay.
And then let's say 9 out of 10 dogs, she's great, but then on the 10th dog she blows up, well, you're already at 80.
Yeah.
So you boom, and then now you have that working as well.
Okay.
Okay. And then if you see consistently 9 out of 10 dogs, she's great, but she still blows up once.
Yeah.
Then 80 isn't working for that one time.
Okay.
Right. Then we go to 85, and then 90, then 95. And I mean, I get clients that are at 127.
Okay.
I had a client whose number was 127 even for obedience,
Okay.
but the dog never yelped.
Yeah.
The dog wasn't like shrieking in pain.
Yeah.
It was just a very tough dog.
Yeah.
And you would see the neck contracting and the dog was like unfazed.
Yeah.
But it took 127 for all the obedience stuff,
Sure.
and then we didn't see reactivity.
Okay.
Because when she was using 127 for reactivity, it wasn't even stopping the dog. So we had to use that number for everything else, and then it affected the behavior, okay?
Okay.
So it could work a lot of different ways,
Yeah.
but that's the first thing I would do. Raise
Okay.
your obedience number outside to 65. Ignore the yips for the first week. See how it shifts her behavior, okay? Let's say 65 is doing a great job, but she's always yelping. Then I go to 60.
Okay.
So instead of going low to high, I go high to low.
Yeah.
Okay, and I work backwards.
Okay.
And so if I'm at 60 and you're like, man, like her behavior is much better, but she's still yelping,
Yeah.
55.
Okay.
So we're just working backwards. So it's better with dogs to be firm and more so over than it is to be under, okay? Because they know what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, this is physical consequence, and you want me to stop this behavior, whatever, but you take your time.
Yeah.
So you don't really mean it.
Right. Right.
Okay, so that's why when I come in, I'm right away going up to higher numbers.
Okay.
I get it done super quick, and the dog learns, oh shit, Jesse doesn't play.
Yeah.
If I don't want to get remoted or corrected, don't do anything.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay. So we've covered so far. We did heel, we did auto sits, we've done stay, correct?
Yeah.
Quiet down, you. Would you remote Azula? Stay. We did place. We started recall. Okay. Did we ever get to the sitting down stuff?
No.
No? So we'll cover that today.
Okay.
And then she's doing good with your boyfriend?
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
She actually got in his lap this weekend, which was funny.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So what we're going to do here, does she know sitting down by chance?
Kind of.
Like
I
with
mean,
treats?
sit, yes. Down. I have to do the kind of like the show her what to do, if that makes sense.
Do you happen to have treats on you or no?
No.
No? But if you use an empty hand, will she do it?
Yeah, probably.
Let me see.
Yeah.
Hey, Corey,
Down.
does she have allergies?
No.
Would you slice me just a couple of thin slices of that sausage, please?
Down. Sit. Down.
Okay, it's okay.
Okay, maybe not.
I can see she has a concept.
Yeah.
Okay, because she was going downwards. So I'm gonna have Corey here bring out a piece of sausage.
Okay.
What we're gonna do is we're gonna layer pressure over these commands.
Okay.
So those are the last two commands that you need, obedience-wise. And then just make those adjustments for the walk, 65 for a regular walking number, and then 80 for her reactivity number.
Okay.
See what happens with that,
Okay.
okay? Because it's really simple.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's either she's gonna be more worried about the obedience, not the reactivity, or worry about the obedience and then 80 or a higher number to stop those little residual moments. And it should be like, within a couple weeks, you're like, yeah, like, we're good,
Yeah.
okay? So go ahead and bring her to your side. Okay, and what's your number currently?
45.
Let's go down to 20. We're teaching something new. Okay, And you're gonna take your left foot, and you see how you have a J right there? You're gonna step on that in the middle of your leash right there. And you're gonna put downwards pressure on the back of her neck. Okay, so pull up a little bit on your leash, like that. Okay? And tap. 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 Pull up a little bit more. There you go. And tap. Wait a moment. Tap. Wait a moment. Now you're going to shorten it some more. Yep. Tap. Wait a moment. Tap. 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 You're at 25. Let's go 30. Thanks. Tap. Wait a moment. Yep, just wait. Tap. There. That's okay. Okay, and go ahead and pick up your foot. You're gonna just walk around in a circle and come back and repeat. Good girl. Tap. 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 Shorten a little bit more on the flat collar. Here you go. Yeah, like that. Tap. Wait a moment. Yep, tap. Yeah, that's fine. And go ahead and walk around. Tap. Tap. Good.
Good job.
2 more. Good. Tap. 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 Go ahead and bump your power 5 levels. Tap. Tap. Yes. Good girl. 1 more. Tap. Tap. Wait a moment. Right there. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start being a little bit more strict.
Okay.
So what we just did was teach her how to give in to pressure into a downwards position. Okay. We're using this because it helps speed along that process. So when you tapped her and you saw her kind of shuffling around, it's against her instinct to give into the pressure. Instead, she's wanting to jump out of it. That's why we do all of the leash stepping. And then this is just to kind of speed up the process of like when you do this, pressure goes away.
Okay.
So now what we're going to do is that it's getting easier for her to lay down, is we're going to keep her in the down.
Okay.
Okay, so if I go to feed her,
Yeah.
and she gets up, I'm not going to feed her. You're going to tap her.
Okay.
Once she goes back down, I'm going to attempt to feed her again.
Okay.
She holds position, we're good.
Okay.
And then we're going to wait a moment.
Okay.
And then like 5 seconds or so, and then you're gonna move your foot, and we're gonna see if she gets up, okay?
Okay.
If she gets up, you're gonna start tapping and then step on the leash immediately.
Okay.
Okay? I'll go in a circle around. Tap. Good. So she holds, that's good. We're gonna wait a moment or 2. 3, 4, 5. Go ahead and remove your foot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. Now you're gonna say break. And now you're gonna circle around and repeat. Very good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Gonna move your foot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. Which is teaching the like don't get up component. Okay. Break. Circle around.
Break.
Good. We're gonna do that 3 more times. Good. Yep. Yep. Tip. Go up 3 levels on your collar. Tip. Wait a moment. Tip. Wait a moment. Tip. Yep. It's okay. Tip. 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 Wait a moment. Yep. So wait a moment. Almost. Right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you're going to step out. Yep, good. And you're going to step. There you go. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. Break.
Break.
2 more. And I'm going to explain what happened there in a moment. Tip. 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 Wait a second. That's fine. We're not going to care where, which is clear that she does. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. Going to step out. Tap. Tap. And you're going to, just keep tapping. Yep, pressure back on. Tap. Good. Tap. Wait a moment. Yep. And then we're going to relax. Take your foot off. 1, 2, 3. Up. Tap. Tap. Wait a moment. Good. Foot off. Almost. Tap. Good. Foot off. 1. Tap. Yep. Wait a moment. Tap. And tap. Tap. There she goes. Tap. Almost. Tap. Good. Wait a second. A little bit more leash pressure. Yep. Tap. Good. Foot off. Good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. And what you're going to do is going to just keep your foot on the leash, like right there by the handle. Yep. Good. All right. So what happened? Because the first 3 were pretty good.
Yeah.
They were pretty smooth. None that, like that 4th one or so, she wasn't laying down as easily, and then she went between your legs, right? So what happens is, in the beginning, you can get really smooth learning curve, and all of a sudden the dog acts like they don't know what they're doing, right? And it could just be their brain is still processing, still kind of learning the concept and stuff, so it's not out the ordinary, okay? It happens all the time where the dog will be doing great, and all of a sudden they're like brain fart, okay? So we just work her through it, and the way I can decipher when or how or when to tap again is when you put pressure on her neck, right? And you tap, you start to see this. It's the fidgeting is her thinking. Okay, she's going, I felt this, I know I need to do something. So it says she fidgets, but then she sits back down again. That's incorrect. We tap again. She fidgets, but maybe she stands up. That's incorrect. We tap again. She fidgets, she moves around, but she sits. Incorrect. We tap again. And eventually we get this. So you're telling her, you're using the leash pressure and the tap to tell her non-verbally, go down, okay? So when she moves around, she's going, okay, what do I need to do? So you let her move. When she stops, she's saying, this is my final answer. And I go, nope, that's wrong. And we keep doing that. And eventually you see her going down, and then we go to remove the foot. But then like on that last rep, you saw she kept getting up. But that's how we teach the concept of don't move. Because she technically has to do it, and there has to be an aversive that tells her, nope, you don't want to make that decision. Exactly. So we're not saying stay here because it's implied. Okay, when I say down, sit, or place, it means go here, don't move, or go into this position and don't move. Okay, and that's exactly how we teach it. Okay. So in the beginning, the reason why we use that leash pressure is, again, it's against her instinct to go down to a downwards, to go into a downwards position. So the leash kind of creates this nook in the neck that becomes uncomfortable. So in order for them to alleviate this tension or this crook, she has to lay down exactly. So we're just using her mechanics against her with pressure to motivate her to give in to that pressure, and then when she feels it go away, we're good, right? And that's why I was also feeding. Because you can see dogs where they'll even start to do this, right? So they're going lower, but they're still standing to alleviate the neck pressure, so that's why we keep going up. So sometimes you'll be even stepping on the clip, because the dog's like really awkwardly positioned, but they can only do it for so long before they're like, okay, something's got to give. And then they go down, and then we feed, okay? So it doesn't matter if they're being stubborn about it, we always feed, because we're trying to incentivize them of like, hey, the easier. When you do this in the beginning, just to make it easier, what we're trying to create is smoothness, okay? When I say down, boom, no argument, okay? So what we're gonna do here is you're gonna cue the word break, and we're gonna repeat 5 more times her going down, okay? And what's our number currently? 33. Let's go ahead and go to 38. Okay? Okay. Wait a second. So that's her deciding. There's her decision.
Good girl.
Good. Go ahead and move your foot. Good. And you're going to just take a step out. Good. Now tap. Tap. Yep, please pressure. Tap. It's okay. Tap. Wait a moment. Tap. There she goes. Okay. Now, technically, we wouldn't feed that because that was a correction. Tap. But I'm just feeding to help incentivize her. There she, yeah, that's her. Tap. Yeah, that's fine. Wait a moment. That's her decision making. Shorten a little bit on the leash. There you go. Wait a second. Good, and then move your foot. Good, and you just take a step to the right. Good, back in again. Good. Excellent. Okay, we're gonna do that 4 more times. Break. Right, good. Was there even a tap there?
No.
Good. Go ahead and wait a second, tap. 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 Almost. Tap. Yep, tap. Good, wait a second. Then take a step out. Good. Step back in. Up, tap, 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 tap. Good. Relax a moment. Wait. Good. Go ahead and move your foot. Good. Good. Back to her side. Good. 3 more. Break. Good. Good. Much better. Go ahead and move your foot. Good. Try to do just a couple steps around. Good. And then back to her side. Good. 2 more. Break. Good. I'm gonna step out. Good. Couple steps around. Good. Back to up. Tap. 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 Hey. Now and step out. Good. Circle around. Tap. 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 Good. Tap. Tap. Good. Good. Quick walk around. Good. Step back in. And 1 more. Good. Yep, and step on your leash. Good. Yep. Good. Yep. And then foot off. And walk around, yeah. Good. What's your number? 38. We're gonna do the same thing, except now you're gonna cue the word down first. Okay? So you're gonna come around, walk, circle around, come to a stop. We're gonna wait a second. Lucy, down, or not Lucy, just down. And then have your foot ready on the leash. And then as soon as you get the word of down, you're gonna start tapping and then putting pressure on her, okay? Break. Who is that? Mello?
Down.
There you go. Good. And then go ahead and step away, circle around. Now, if she gets up, you're not going to say down again. Okay. Good. Hey. Yeah. There we go. And break.
Break.
We're going to do 4 more.
Down.
Right. Good. Now here, go ahead and step out and then do your walk around. If you say down and she starts to go, no tap. Good. 3 more.
Great. Down.
Good. Step away. Walk around. What's that? Doggy time out. Shh. Go ahead and pull Coda out. Because she keeps eyeballing Eddie. Good. Break. 2 more. Good.
Down.
Good. One more.
Great. Down.
Good. And then walk around. And go ahead and do a full circle on this one. Good. You're gonna pause right here. That's a little piece right there. Good girl. All right. So earlier, down, right? And she was kind of hesitant and stuff, but I could see she had the concept.
Yeah.
So it was like she knew the concept, but didn't really want to do it.
Yeah.
Okay. So we put pressure behind it, and all of a sudden, down, boom.
Yeah.
Right, getting much easier, because now it means something.
Right.
Okay. So that's the whole power of pressure. Is like I actually started a case yesterday. The guy's been doing positive reinforcement for months.
Yeah.
And I can, like, he's really doing it.
Yeah.
He's not like where people would just do it for a little bit here. Like, he's out there, he's doing it.
Yeah.
And the dog is off the rocker.
Yeah.
Right? Very anxious, very overstimulated, like all over the place. And literally within 2 minutes, a handful of taps, perfect. And the guy's like, holy crap. I'm like, yeah, because you did a good job.
Right.
But nothing was ever telling the dog, you have to do this
Right.
or not to do certain things.
Right.
Now that you've balanced it out, all of a sudden all that stuff that you've taught the dog is kicking in. So it's the same thing here. I can see she had a concept of it,
Yeah.
but there was no real like incentive, right? Now it's like, hey, do it or pressure kicks in.
Yeah.
But now she's learning, oh, if mom says down, if I just lay down, I avoid pressure.
Right.
Okay. So she has the choice. She can do it and bypass the pressure, or she can be resistant and get more pressure.
Right.
So those times when you saw her kind of taking more time to figure it out and being more resistant and stuff, that's actually, in my opinion, good.
Okay.
Okay? Because you want to get that out of her system.
Yeah.
It sounds bad, but when it comes to obedience, there is no other option but compliance.
Right.
What's the point of having a recall if your dog has the decision or the option to not always have to return? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And it has to be across the board, because if I say, let's say sit down, place, and heel, whatever, I'm like, you don't always have to do it. Like,
Right.
I'll tell you to, but if you want to do something else, it's fine. But then one day your dog, you need them to come back to you, and you're like, they're gonna just like, well, if I don't have to do this stuff, why do I have to do this? So everything has to be mandatory. If I say this command, you're gonna do it.
Yeah.
Okay. So the more time she takes doing that stuff,
Yeah.
the faster she learns the concept of staying. The more she learns, okay, my only option is compliance. Okay. And also, it's teaching her how to think through confusion, through panic, through stress, because that's what's happening. Pressure's kicking in, right?
Yeah.
And it was still fresh to her. She's like, what am I doing? Oh, no, all this stuff. But when
It
then,
does seem like a little calmer overall.
because you worked her through it, yeah.
Yeah.
If we don't work them through the stress, they stay stuck in the stress.
Right.
So then right there, we just took our time, right? We weren't like tap, 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 tap. We were just like tap, wrong decision, tap, right? There was no rush.
Yeah.
Let her figure it out. And when she got it, feed. And I mean, she was getting stressed, but she wasn't so stressed that she wasn't taking this.
Right.
You know, so that also gives us a feel of where she's at in her headspace.
Yeah.
So all that stuff is meant to make this reliable, okay? And in the beginning, because there's more pressure, she's not going to be the happiest camper. But once it gets easier, and she's like, oh shit, like I can avoid this, and if I just stay down, I don't get tapped again, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
You start to see them relax more.
Okay.
Okay? Questions on this so far? So down is like place. It's meant for extended use.
Okay.
So like with place, you could say, go here and don't move for 2 hours.
Yeah.
It's the same concept for this, but this is more strict.
Right.
So place is sit, stand, lay down, chew on a bone, play with a toy. I don't care. Just don't get off. This is lay down and don't move. Now, I don't care about aesthetic. I don't need her to be in a fancy Sphinx-like down, okay? What I want is function. So if, like, let's say she decides to, like, lay on her side or on her back with her legs up, but she'll stay there for 2 hours, that's what I care about, okay? So in the beginning, whenever you see her adjusting or whatever, I would just be ready for her to stand up so that we would correct for that. But otherwise, you know, if she goes to her hip or her side or on her back, I don't care. She's good as long as she doesn't break from that downy position. Okay. So with this, what I would do is you can use these interchangeably. So let's say instead of doing place 100% of the time, you could do place and down. Okay. Now I wouldn't send her the place and then down her. Okay. Do you know why?
Because it'll get confusing, and she might think she has to do down in place.
You're close. Is it becomes more confusing for the owner. Is what happens is people send their dog to place, they tell them down. What command is she in?
Down.
Yes, because your new command overrides your old command, right? So she's in place, but she's on a place, but she's in a down command. Is that people forget, and then the dog starts to move, and they're thinking it's place.
That's fine.
Right? But it's not exactly. So now she starts to learn gray area. And she goes, oh, like I don't always have to stay in a down position. I can sit and I can stand. So then when you need down in something like this, when there is no, exactly. So in the beginning, it's a very similar process. You would have her at your side. So if you're going to watch TV, instead of her having her on place or having her on the couch, down, tap, put her in a down position, step on the leash, and I'm watching my TV show for an hour. Okay? If she gets up, tap, she lays back down, go back to watching TV. It's the exact same thing, except this is just more strict. Okay? So this is meant for extended use. You can have her lay down for as long as you want. This is more kind of versatile because you don't need to have an object, right? So let's say you go to a restaurant, you're like, oh, I didn't bring my towel, so I can't place her down. Okay, and you just step on your leash, and then you enjoy your meal. Questions about any of this?
Like, you know, she just lifted her head up, like that's fine.
As long as those legs or her body stays on that ground, she's fine. So she could even like you see Bane over there, the bull terrier, and we got Stella. You see how they're alert and they're like up, they're in down, they're not in a down command or on place, but they're in down positions. That's perfectly fine. You can see how Stella's like relaxed with her like on her hip and everything. All that stuff is fine, okay? So as long as she's maintaining that position and not fidgeting, we're good to go. The one thing in the beginning is it's best to be very black and white. But like my pit, Lexi, she'll hold it down forever. Okay? Like I could literally have her there for like 4 hours and she won't move. So let me explain that better. She'll hold the position for a really long time. But I know, well, she will. This is an exception here. So I know Lex, and Lex is my pitty. If I down her, she'll be there for 4 to 6 hours, however long I need it to be. 2 hours in, she might go, I'm uncomfortable, and she'll stand up and spiral around, but lay back down again. So because I know she's going to be there for a very long time, I let her do it. But I've also had dogs where clients say the same thing, but they'll get up and act like they're going to adjust and then walk away. Okay, so I'll tell them, if your dog does that, we would correct them because we know what they're going to do. But if you're doing a very extended period of time for the down command, it's an exception because it's like with us, right? If I'm sitting for a long time, I got to adjust, I got to get up and stretch a bit and then get back or whatever. Same, in my opinion, same thing for the dogs. But in the beginning, it's best to be more black and white. And then once you learn Lucy, once you're like, yeah, she's the type that'll hold it forever, but she'll just get up and adjust. I'm fine with that. Okay. As long as she goes back to the down position and doesn't try to like sneak away. Okay. Other questions about that? So this exercise here, you would do 3 to 5 minutes a day. Okay, real short, 2 times a day if you can. Feel free to use food. You know, this is beef sausage, so we use very high value stuff to incentivize her. Okay, so we just started to do the stepping away and stuff, so that she would make the mistake of getting up. Okay, to show you how to correct her so that when you leave, when you leave here today, you know how to address it, okay?
Okay.
All right, let's take a look here. So we're gonna try one more quick thing before you head out.
Okay.
Is I'm gonna have you say the word sit, and then you're gonna lightly pull up on your leash and tap, okay?
Okay.
Tap, so correct that, tap. Tap. Good. Tap. Right, good. We're gonna wait a second or so. Go in and cue, sit.
Sit.
Tap. Tap. Good, right there.
Good girl.
Okay. Down.
Down.
Sit.
Sit.
Tap. Good, break.
Break.
Go ahead and walk around real quick. Good.
Down.
Good. Sit.
Sit.
Tap.
Sit.
Good. And down.
Down.
So what these are called are puppy push-ups. Okay. The reason why we do these is to practice those two commands to help her differentiate between the two. Okay. So that exercise, so the first one we did was to teach her, excuse me, was to teach her how to down easily with very little work. And now we're teaching the sit from the down, okay? To help her, to help her differentiate between the two different commands, okay? So when you feel her downs are really good, and it's like down, boom, okay? Very consistent. Then you stop that, and you can do downs and sits, okay? Now when you do downs and sits back to back, you want to vary the length of time. So don't go down, sit, down, sit, because she's going to catch on to that pattern. She'll start going up and down. So you might even like step out and walk around and come back and stuff and feed, because she'll pick up on the pattern and she's gonna get frustrated, okay? We're gonna create a little bit of a problem here, and now when you're on your walk and you put her in a heel, you might find that she'll start to lay down when you stop, right? Because of the auto sit, because she's gonna pick up on the pattern. If that happens, you'll again lightly pull up and tap to bring her up into a sitting position, but you wouldn't say sit. You're just correcting her and you're teaching her, hey, when we're in a heel, you don't lay down, you sit, okay? And eventually it goes away on its own.
Okay.
But that's why trainers won't teach down from sit, because they don't want to create that problem.
Yeah.
So here it happens. I teach down from sit because it's easiest for the owner to teach it that way.
Sure.
And then the problem that creates is just that, which we just correct by lightly up, tap, she goes back up, we relax, okay? And that exercise of the sit down puppy push-ups, 3 to 5 minutes once a day. Okay. Once you feel like sit, boom, down, boom, sit, boom, and she's just real quick with them, or she does them reliably, we don't need to do that anymore. We go to application. Okay. So once I teach a skill, I always just go to application.
Okay.
So now down, sit, and place command, they're all stationary, but sits are momentary.
Sure.
Okay. So if it's like I'm going to talk to my neighbor for 5 minutes, sit. If it's going to be a 15-minute conversation, down. Okay. Any questions? Right. Good job. So for this week, outside for the walks, let's bump it to 65 for obedience, and then 80 for reactivity, and let's see what happens.
Okay.